welcome to another episode of the Big G Video Podcast. Today I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm recording into streaming software here using like a very sophisticated webcam just to test it out and see if it's any good. And hopefully, if it is, I'll do a review. So you should be able to see up here it says on air. That's just because I'm using streaming software. So let's get to the crux of this episode. This episode is all about shocking shoots. So it's coming up to Halloween, and I thought I don't normally do any Halloween stuff, but I thought today I would do some Halloween stuff as best as I can. So I'm not dressed up in a Halloween costume, but I am going to talk about shoots that I have found shocking. And I've had two shoots that have been shocking and horrific and horrors. And I'm going to talk why they were horrific, why they were horrors, what I learned from it, and how ultimately it made me better in the end after getting over the trauma of it. So let's talk about the first shoot. So it was back when I very first started videography. I had this grand plan of making this content. And I think we're almost talking 15 to 20 years ago. We're talking a long time. And I bought myself a bit of a classic camera, a camcorder, a Sony VX100, and it was tape. It was actual tape. I think it recorded just under HD, but it was tape. And you connected it to your computer and you ran the tape through. You played it and then it recorded, it digitized onto the computer using Sony Vegas because it was a Sony camera. So that's how I got into using Sony Vegas. Had a shotgun microphone on top. It was a bit old for its time when I was using it, but it was absolutely perfect for what I was using. And I was doing a series of content things. And I won't bore you with the details. I found somewhere to film. It didn't cost me much. I was happy with it. I rented it for the whole day, sort of like £40 for the whole day. I got my friend to come down and I wrote a script and everything. I was filming. He was running, doing the script. I built a teleprompter for him, which was basically, I think I brought along a computer. I brought along a laptop and I put a big screen up so I could see one screen. He could see another screen. So he had the things he had to read. I had microphones so I could monitor the audio, and all was going quite well until like a busker turned up outside of where we were filming and started busking and singing and things like that, like buskers do. And I knew this would have an impact on the audio because I could hear it on the headphones. So I sort of stopped. I played it back. I made a judgment. I thought this is going to affect the audio. So at that time, I wasn't using lavalier microphones like I am now today. So I wasn't using mics that were close to the talent, and that was my mistake. I was using the mic on camera, which was a good microphone on the camera, but had I used a lavalier microphone or some sort of closer mic or a boomed mic, I might have been able to salvage this work. But anyway, I asked the busker, "Oh, would you mind going somewhere else? I'm trying to record something. I think you're affecting the recording." He wouldn't. So we persevered, we carried on. But the problem we had was when I got back and I checked the audio, it was indeed, you could hear this busker in the background. And the choice I had at the time was I could either remove the sort of sound of the busker, which I could do with Audacity. But the problem was that made the audio sound incredibly tinny. And long story short, I ended up just after quite a lot of work on this, abandoning the project because I just stopped working on it simply because if I removed the busker, then the audio was tinny and different to how it was at the start of the content. And if I left it in, you couldn't leave the busker in. So I ultimately just completely stopped. That was it, no more. So what I learned from that was audio is so important, and it was one of the earliest lessons I learned. Audio is so important. Get the microphone as close to the person speaking as possible, and you can see I'm doing that today. And yeah, it's no point having somewhere to shoot. It's no point having good talent. No point having a teleprompter if you can't hear someone. I mean, I even tried sort of playing music over it, but there were times where music wasn't suitable, and even with the music, it still sounded tinny. So utter disaster. And my second horrific shoot was more photography based, but I went and I did like a shoot with a model, and we met in London in a really crowded place in London, and it was what's called a TFP shoot, but it still has appropriateness to this video and videography work. That's where um, no money is exchanged, but just images are exchanged. So the model gives their time for filming or photography or whatever, and you give them some edited images. Agree it all beforehand. So the model turned up. Um, Communication hadn't been quite good to this point. She'd said where she wanted to meet. Yep, fine, we'll meet there. Turned up late, which I never find works particularly well. Tried calling me through like FaceTime, but I didn't have any mobile data, or I certainly didn't have enough where I was because it was extremely busy. So that didn't work. So I eventually met this person. They said, "Oh, I want to do this, and I want to do it in this location." I said, "Yeah, yeah, we can do that. I can recreate that." They show me this picture. This is what I want. This is someone else's picture, but this is the type of thing I want. I said, "Yep, okay, can do that. If you could just take me to where the location is." Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it is. Can we look for it? And this was alarm bells weren't ringing, but I could see where this was going. I said, "Yeah, of course, we'll look for it." So we spent ages walking around looking for this place, and I sort of said, after 20 minutes, "We haven't found it. Maybe we don't do it. What else do you want to do?" But they were very adamant. "No, I want to do this. This is what I want to do." So we we looked and we couldn't find it, and then they're in a bit of a huff about this. So I sort of, sensing where things were going, sort of said, "Look, maybe we just call it a day. Maybe we don't continue." Um, and I sort of put that out there that this didn't seem to be working. She was obviously quite annoyed because she couldn't find where she wanted to go. It wasn't really feeling like it was working. So maybe we just call it a day, move on, forget about it. She didn't want to do that. So we carried on with the shoot, and the images weren't particularly good because she was grumpy through the shoot. She looked grumpy. She was grumpy. She had a grumpy pose, and it just wasn't very good, really. So I sort of left that shoot feeling a bit annoyed, like I'd wasted my time. The images weren't particularly good, and that was that. And what that taught me was just how important communication and expectations are. So you never want to surprise someone if you're meeting up with someone and you say, "Oh, no, I want to do this," and it's out of the blue. Set their expectations. Don't just turn up and do, change things wildly. That never works particularly well. Clear communication of what you want, how long it's going to take, what you expect. Um, Call out any risks or issues. So if in the communication she said, "I want to go here," I would have said, "Please find out where it is. Otherwise, we'll be walking around for a long time." So all of this could have been avoided by setting expectations and clear communications. Unfortunately, it was the other person who did the arranging. And I think going forward after that, I asked a lot more questions. So I can't just put the blame on this person. I should have asked more questions. I should have said, "Show me what you want," and I just should have maybe asked more questions with, "Yeah, let's meet here." So I've only had two shockers, I think. Yeah, those have been the only two shockers. But as it's coming up to Halloween, like I say, I thought I'd talk about those shockers. Let me know what you think of this streaming, this new setup. Is it better? Is it worse? Would you rather just see like audio, an audiogram, which is something I used to do with this podcast? Let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see in the podcast.